Representative Powell, come on down. Close us out.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. That'll be quite an interesting afternoon debate. And as I sat back and I listened to all of this, I was trying to think what remarks I was going to make.
Can you use the microphone? Can you take a seat and hear the microphone?
No outburst in the committee, please. I would appreciate it. Representative Powell is speaking.
Thank you,
Representative Powell,
Mr. Chairman, and ladies and gentlemen of the committee. You know, I was sitting here and as we had listened to all of this, I was trying to preface my remarks. And, as I listened to all of this, and, first I thought, I guess I've got some very special critique I want to give to this process. But first, let me tell you, what this bill is what you see. There's several parts to it. Thanks to Ms. McGarity, she did talk about the part where we are correction misdemeanor probation. Something that's ordered by the court, something we need to pass. Secondly, the second part of the bill is to create a division. And this division is the Department of Community Supervision. Yes, there's a second one, and I spoke of it earlier. Despite from one of the commenters of me being a liar, I did speak of that, and what I said was we are codifying GOSTAR, the Governor's Office on Reentry, that has been in effect for a few years now, for the reentry program. And all of these other parts of this, as I had said earlier, and legal counsel that helped draft it could probably verify, that this was plugging and unplugging code sections. No new police powers were given. It was basically creating a department of community-based supervision, something that these folks could be cross-trained to do their duties. I listened to a lot of this a while ago, and I realized what a precarious position that we are in as legislators. I'm fiercely independent in my beliefs, and I'm fiercely a defender of the three branches of government that our system functions with. I heard comments about that were taken out of context about how the commissioner could employ as many people. Well, in the real world, we know that that's not exactly how it works, but he is the commissioner, and we put that language in as legalese, but that commissioner still has to come in front of the General Assembly and the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget, and the system works through these branches of government as to how many people will work there. I heard about reentry. Well, reentry was codified. It was already in existence. It didn't just create a new department. We just codified it because it had originally been created under criminal justice reform as an agency for reentry. I heard from numerous people commenting, and I could hear the disdain that they had about government in general. And that's their rights, and I certainly do believe that. I heard the talk about fines and court courts and the forfeiture system and things like that. We don't have a perfect system of government, ladies and gentlemen. But that's what we're up here to do, and that's to try to change something that starts on the second Monday of every January, and that's to try to make this system better. Quite frankly, as I listened to some of the comments, I agree with a lot of the comments about fines, about add-on fees and things like that, to the point that, quite honestly, a lot of it's got ridiculous. But quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, I have concerns. When I hear comments about being appalled by the court system, I could hear the venom. When I heard one of the first person who addressed, they would call me a liar. She doesn't know me well enough to know that I don't have to lie. I've been here 25 years, and I don't lie when I present a bill. And yes, I took that offensively. I understand, and I looked up where she came from. She's an indigent defense lawyer. So I understand that. I understand her disdain and her passion is probably of defending these people, that she doesn't like the system. But my concern is she doesn't like the legislature, obviously. She doesn't like the judicial system, obviously. And it doesn't appear to me that she cares a whole lot for the law enforcement system. So these are the things that I have concern. But ladies and gentlemen of this committee, we are empowered by the Constitution to do those things that are necessary through the legislative process, and that's what this is. What we've done in this bill What we've done through the administration, bringing this forward, is to create a better system of community-based supervision, to eliminate waste, to eliminate duplication, to try to do what we're here to do, and that's to save money and to make a better system of our government. I would ask for the favorable consideration of this committee that we move forward with this, take it on, because quite frankly, it is a good piece of legislation.
Thank you, Chairman Powell. I appreciate it. I appreciate your passion, and thank you for your service over on the other side. And as my counterpart in the House, looks like Senator C may have a question. So, Senator C.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I've had a couple of folk in my district who had specific questions, and I truly didn't know the answer. But I heard you mention early on in your testimony about the governor and pardons and clemency. Is he's the one that gives pardons and clemency?
No, Senator. Under the Constitution of Georgia, you have 5 members on the Board of Pardon and Paroles. The governor appoints those people for a 7-year term.
So those appointees
They're
pardons and give
Board of
clemency.
Pardon and Paroles. There's 5 members that sits on that board.
Thank you. And one last thing, expungements. Many of them have had, we're mad at them because they've done a few things consistently or repeatedly. And they are saying that while they are applauding the governor for looking forward and trying to help folk who truly has issues, but they're saying that they're being mad at by folk and some of the things they've done. For years now, they've not been able to get a job when they've been offered a job because of nobody's willing to do expungement. And I didn't know who does that, just like I didn't know about pardon and clemency. Can you help me with that?
Yes, Senator. You know, back several years ago, before there was a Department of Reentry, reentry became a brainchild of the system, and for those of us who've been around a while. And that's trying to get, if you understand, and this is how I basically tell people, if you understand that 99.9% of all the people who go to prison, they're going to see freedom at some point. They're going to see freedom.
Okay.
And what we need is to have these folks basically retrained through the reentry to stifle that swinging door of recidivism. So we've had reentry programs through the Department of Corrections, in facilities. We've had it in pardon and paroles through supervision. And then, thanks to Governor Deal's vision, he created by executive order the Department of Reentry, or Georgia Department of Reentry, the Ghost Star for short. And this is what solidifies. The problem that we truly have, and I applaud him for his initiative about no checking of the box and those type of things. Unfortunately, when people are convicted of a felony, and it depends quite frankly what the felony is, they usually get stigmatized. There's such a labor pool out there today in our society that folks don't have to hire people who have questionable backgrounds. So, unless they have a specialty or a skill or something, quite frankly, if your commode stopped up, you don't care what they've been in prison for if you're looking for a plumber. So if they have certain skills, then they're going to get a job. But then you have the rest of the folks. And this is what the reentry program is all about, to try to get these people there. Directly to answer your question about expungement. Expungement is the absolute most miserable process. Georgia does not have a method of expungement. The Department of Pardon and Paroles, they can pardon you after 5 years of completion of a sentence with all fines paid, no probation, no pardon left, no supervision, and you've gone 5 years with no other arrest, and you basically have shown that you're rehabilitated and a good citizen. That's the pardon. Expungement is the process of somehow getting it off of your record. And that's a miserable process in Georgia, because the only way that you can do an expungement in Georgia, you have to go back to the jurisdiction that you were convicted. You have to get the district attorney that prosecuted you to agree to take that off of the record and then file the proper motions. So You know,
So that's a no-go period, just about,
be
because
more than glad to work with my distinguished friend.
we will.
Be
All
glad
right,
to.
thank you.
Any other questions from the committee for Chairman Powell? Hearing none. Again, I want to say thank you for your work on this, and I appreciate your due diligence in hanging out with us this afternoon.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Sir Albert.
Thank you. I've been thinking throughout today, very interesting debate. They're very passionate. Something I said in the beginning when I prayed was, we can disagree without disapproving. And I'm going to share with you a quick 10-second story before we end this. On Friday, I went against most of my caucus to vote against the transportation bill. And I was mad for about 10 seconds. So I walked over and shook people's hands and said, well, let's try and work on something else. Because the reality is my goal as a legislator or somebody who wants to impact change is I got to figure out, well, if I can't get this, how can I do something else? We talked about a lot of things today. Some pertain to this bill, and a whole lot of them did not. Some of them were very legitimate issues. So my challenge to everybody in this room, no matter where you sit on this, is how do you figure out what those top couple of priorities are so we can work together and make meaningful change? Because I think there's not a person in this room that doesn't care about Georgia and wants to make it better. So when we leave here today, some people got what they wanted, some people didn't. But overall, let's make sure our heads are in the right place, which is to make it better. Thanks.
Thank you, Senator Albers, and I ditto those comments. I appreciate that, those comments. So, with that being said, and all the testimony over with, what is the will of the committee? Got a move to pass. Second? Got a second? Motion and a second. Any further discussion from this committee regarding 310? And let me make sure I got the LC number correctly. It'll be HB310-CSFA. Is that correct, Chairman Powell? No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Hearing none. Congratulations, Chairman Powell moves on the rules, and good luck with our good friend, Senator Mullins. Thank you very much for all those who attended. I appreciate it, and y'all have a great day.
Don't be too ready to admit it, right? I mean, people call me crazy all the time, but I try not to let them.
And they don't listen to citizens.
She ran against Mike Jacobs, yeah.
You're gonna have a good video on this one.
Yeah. Talk about a
There's so much
reality show.
BS. I've never seen that.
I'll be great on Saturday night. Truby Patrick, I'm sure you know. Good friend, supporter of mine. Greg was fantastic.
Did somebody take your notes?
No, I was looking for Don't tell Greg, but I think it's a big